Good morning and welcome to Only Stupid Answers. My name is Sam Basher.
My name is DJ Woldridge.
Today we're talking about Watchmen on HBO, Episode 3, She Was Killed by Space Junk. Quickie synopsis. Following a late-night visit from the senator, FBI agent Laurie Blake heads to Tulsa to take over the recent murder investigation. The Lord of the Manor receives a harshly worded letter and responds accordingly.
Well, apparently he's not the Lord of the... I guess he is Lord of the Manor.
But he's not the...
Man of the house. However you want to say that.
The Lord of the Hunt. We'll pull it up in just a second. But gang, I hope you appreciated all of our deep dives into Watchmen so far. It's been a pleasure for us. We've done a live watch along for the episode once it airs. We were not able to do it last night because we went and saw Dr. Sleep.
Yep.
So there will be a review for that out on this channel very soon. So make sure you keep your eyes out for that. But let's go ahead and dive into this.
Yes.
Because ooh, wonderful. We're seeing the return of another Watchmen alum,
yes.
Laurie Blake.
Yes.
Now, instead of Giuseppe, it's Blake.
Yeah.
And she's fully taken on the mantle in some way of her father and is now working for the U.S. government hunting down vigilantes.
Yeah, and it's a perfectly healthy decision to follow in the footsteps of her father, who's a perfectly mentally stable individual.
Okay, just a quick shout out to HBO's Watchmen official podcast because Damon Lindelof and Craig Mazin from Script Notes, also the creator of Chernobyl, they're diving into the episodes 3 episodes at a time. Yeah. So highly recommend checking that out. But they talk about the reason why she's kind of taken this route, which feels, I mean, it's been a few months since I read Watchmen. Mm-hmm. It seems interesting for her character to take this kind of dive and taking this podcast I listened to and also PDpedia, HBO's like interstitial like random documents from the universe encyclopedia online. You kind of learn that at the end of the original Watchmen comic, she talks about going to buy guns, and it's supposed to be a nod and a wink to her, instead of following in the steps of her mom, which she did her whole life, and it
wasn't great.
No,
not
good.
Great, yeah.
Now she's taking a swing at following in her father's footsteps, which, I mean, you
arguably worse.
Take up baking,
or
pottery, or not gymnastics because you're really good at that. Yeah. That's going to make you think of your mom. Do something else, maybe.
Yeah, find something. But such great. Jean Smart, so good.
And we also find out in the 90s. Laurie and Owlman. They
named Reberg.
Thank you. They both came out of retirement and did some vigilanting, and they both got arrested. Yeah. And currently, he is still in jail, according to this episode, talking about a certain owl in a cage. And also, it's kind of cute that she has an owl as a pet.
It is.
Who?
It is. It's interesting that she's not. I'm going to be honest. She's not great with the jokes. Mm-hmm. They're perhaps a little too dry.
Yeah. We also mentioned that the comedian's jokes were never really funny because it usually ended with like a pregnant woman getting shot in the tummy.
Yeah. They were a little dark. We can all be honest. They were a little dark.
I'll be the first to say it. It was pretty dark.
But I really like, not only is Jean Smart just fantastic and amazing, I like the kind of idea of like if there, I think Silk Spectre was arguably the weak link of the original cast, or maybe the least talked about, if anything, and this completely 180s that because Jean Smart's such a tremendous actress, and the characterization and the writing is so good. And we immediately meet her as she's taking down another vigilante in the middle, like it's a classic Batman situation. But the whole bank is the FBI, so great. Mm-hmm. And then you get the classic like, how'd you know the armor would stop the bullets? And she doesn't respond. I'm glad she didn't. It was a nice little like, just a little grace note instead of like I didn't. She just doesn't respond, you know. And you rely on her performance to carry it, and she just does because it's great.
Because later on, just kind of skipping ahead a little bit, when she does shoot someone, and does kill them for sure, and it does turn out that they weren't bluffing, you almost get this sense that like, yeah, she's kind of like stone cold, where it's like, how do you know the bullets weren't going to go through? And you're like, well, maybe she didn't. And then later she's like, yeah, I thought that was a bluff. I didn't think that was going to work. Yeah. And I like that there's a juxtaposition immediately right there where it's like, she's a professional. Yes. She knows what she's doing, but also like this world, she's enormously complicated. Yeah. And also we learn about, actually, this is just kind of a fun in-world confirmation. PDpedia, the HBO encyclopedia online about Watchmen, has to be a nod to her partner now going with her to Tulsa, Petey. We find out his name near the end of the episode, who's been studying these vigilantes his entire life. And he is a light fan.
Oh, light. He paints over well, but he is such a fanboy.
But he is a professional too. Like,
sure.
Like, I got a job to do.
Yeah. On the slideshow. Yeah.
There's no way he's making it out of this show.
Also, I don't trust him. I'm being honest. There's something really like, I think I don't trust him. It goes back to him putting that Rorschach slide in the thing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, I don't trust this guy.
I just found this really cool thing we should look at really quick.
Yeah. Everybody should look at it. Maybe all I'm saying is maybe he had some good ideas. That's all I'm saying.
And also with that presentation, they really hammer home how the perception of the 7th Cavalry.
Yeah.
And also, Will's just gone. He's gone for this entire episode, but we'll kind of get into the ending of the second episode and the ending of this episode in the parallel. But throughout the episode, we also see another piece of world building when it comes to Laurie with the booths to talk to God on Mars. You can call Dr. Manhattan whenever you want, and thanks to a very handy satellite system, you're able to send a message in about 40 seconds, which is actually faster than...
Which I got to be honest with you, I literally just realized that's entirely bullshit.
Which part?
They send it to Mars. I guarantee you they don't. You just talk into a box, and it probably records and goes to the NSA or something.
Or it just... They point. There's no way they could. There's no way they just don't. Like point it out and just shoot it towards Mars.
Hey man, listen, it's out there.
Yeah,
it's out there. And honestly,
he could have a radio.
He could hear it if he wanted it. If he wanted to. But it is. You know what was weird is you read Watchmen. You know what happened. But like, she dunked Dr. Manhattan. Yeah, that's weird. You would have a hard time. That's not there's no way that's a healthy relationship on any plane of existence, because especially since it started when she was underage, it's just
I'd say that relationship might mess you up moving forward
on every level.
When she gets back to her motel room, you're like, this is just a complicated relationship to sex and everything. Like, hey, take care of yourself however you want. When that thing comes out and it's literally modeled after your ex, there's gotta be some problems there. I mean, hey, there's just been a lot of genitals in the past 2 episodes.
How could Petey compete is all I'm wondering. Anyway.
Maybe he can't. Maybe he can't.
Let's be honest, he probably can't.
Probably can't. But as the episode progresses, it's her investigation of Tulsa, and we're finding out that like this policing, this cops in masks is mainly localized in Tulsa right now, and it is, but
because it's Keen's big baby boy idea.
Yeah, and it could go to other cities as well.
Well, I probably shouldn't.
We don't know.
Honestly,
I agree with you. Probably shouldn't, but we don't know how quickly this is going to roll out.
I like the show's I think they lay it out pretty elegantly in that FBI briefing, where it's like, 7th Cavalry, those guys, assholes. But then like there's not really any good guys in this situation. 7th Cavalry are easily the bottom of the barrel bad guys, but like the cops are rounding up people and doing torturing people and all this stuff, like extra legal shit. It's like, this is bad.
And we're learning that they have a racist detector. It's not. It actually dives into, they kind of like, it measures the brain, or at least they pick images that could be triggering to certain individuals based on their assumptions of them. At the very least, that's what it is. And also, quick shout out, I think the Squid, whoever designed it, I mean, Dave Gibbons did.
Yeah, because there's when she's interviewing
Looking
Glass in the racist detector in the background, you can see
the pod racist detector.
The pod, but I liked her exchange, Jean Smart's exchanges with these Looking Glass and then Angela specifically are just great. They're great. It's a great bit of acting and writing. And just those little and the way she like works people is really cool.
She did. I really liked her on Legion.
Yes,
it kind of felt like she kind of dissolved away a little.
Yeah, she wasn't even. She was in one episode. One of my favorite episodes of last season, but that was basically it.
So, and maybe that was because they kind of shuffling her way over to HBO. I get it. Makes sense. Get that money, and also you're playing an amazing character. And we once we get to the funeral and she's investigating Angela, I like that when they have their discussion, she has her number already. She knows what's happening. Like, she knows enough about what happened. And I'm curious about how she's going to go about uncovering this, because she's was already kind of had a hand in uncovering one of the biggest mysteries of all time when it comes to Adrian Veidt, which we get confirmation that that's
at least a version of him. Now with the whole cloning, sorry,
sorry, got
on the Rorschachs, Seventh Cavalry. But with the cloning, it's like, who knows? It was cool that we got the costume. I don't know about you. I really like that it was like the costume for Veidt.
Yeah,
for Ozymandias.
And you guys will correct us. And we said Veidt before. It's Veidt. It's confirmed
at least in the show.
At least in the show.
Maybe it's a Constantine situation. Is all I'm gonna say.
There you go. But yeah, his costume does look. It's perfect. It feels like this old man trying to relive his days. And let's go ahead and wind the clock back for his story throughout this episode because we see him crafting.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do like beat by beat explain to you what happened, but we see him crafting a suit. And he puts it on and he's like, I like that. He's like, I have full trust of you. He's like, yep, because you have to.
Yeah.
And it's becoming clearer and clearer. Like in the podcast, they say like, we're not calling them clones. And you'll find out what they are. Yeah. And he's like, who's saying that they are clones? I think he's just doing some.
Yeah. I think Lindelof just bullshit.
But hey, I eat that for breakfast. Yeah. I love that stuff. But I love the cut between like his kind of like wide-eyed optimism of like what's about to happen. And immediately he's frozen solid.
I'm thinking space.
I'm thinking space too.
Yeah, it's trying to send him to space.
Cosmic rays.
This Veidt. He's unstable, right? Because he's not like,
to put it lightly,
because he's supposed to be the smartest man in the world, and he's just kind of like hobbing together a spacesuit out of armor. Like,
well, throughout this episode, and we know that technology in this world is dated, with some exceptions. Like computers aren't really widely used. There are no cell phones. People are paging each other,
except for that Millennium Clock.
Millennium Clock is pretty cool, and I'm very excited to kind of dive into that. We also find out
that's got to be where our final confrontation happens. That's like classic. The second that shows up, like, oh, that's classic action movie. That's where the final fight goes down.
Yeah, and Dr. Manhattan's gonna pick it up. He's gonna use his spear, throw it into the sun. You know, this is classic grounded Watchmen stuff.
Or maybe Laurie's like, this is the replacement for my dildo.
But I did want to mention with Ozymandias, there's the technology is not as advanced, and throughout his entire storyline, he's at most used a typewriter, and ridden a horse, and besides like whatever these things are, whatever these clones or whatever, and so he's building his own suit. It kind of feels like he's like coming up with his own rigs and building his own technology.
You know what? This is a great. I think you're onto something here because he goes on Hunts the Ball, which, by the way, I think this was this superlative episode. I think the only thing that was a little weak to me was the CG on those bison things was not the best.
Yeah, but it's so small. Like
It's 100% a nitpick. Mm-hmm. There's a game warden that does not like Veidt, and the implication is that Veidt is a captive, as opposed to in his own little. So maybe he does not have access to the technology, so we can't create another stupid squid that's going to wipe out 3 million people.
So and of course we'll mention this just because people are going to be like, you guys didn't talk about this. Yeah, you see the Black Freighter sign on the flag on the sickle, and it feels like a very clear warning. I wouldn't go anywhere near what that is.
I see. Here's my theory. Because I thought the game warden looked to me like one of the clones. You said it looked like Veidt.
Off camera.
Off camera. I think this is entirely a feint. I wouldn't be surprised if he might be on Mars. I wouldn't be surprised if Dr. Manhattan is his captor. And so this is all a thing that Dr. Manhattan created to keep Ozymandias from dicking around.
So Dr. Manhattan is punishing Veidt?
Veidt, or which the only problem with that is he would have had to have grown. Because even Laurie points out, like, you never cared about humanity and you're beyond all that. So he would have had to have started to care, or the captivity. I think the captivity is less clear cut than it appears. I don't feel like he's in some sort of like, although he thanks him for the tomatoes. Anyway, so it might also be whatever's going on with Will in the car, because I would have sworn last week it was Laurie and the feds and the government, but she clearly doesn't know what's going on. Getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, so my theory is Veidt basically is presumed dead. Yes. And we know that another company, if you watch the next episode, we meet the person who has purchased his company.
Which we get a reference to when talking about the Millennium Clock,
yes,
and how she uses Ozymandias' favorite quote, which is from the poem Ozymandias, to like take him down a peg as they build the Millennium Clock.
Very cool. Yeah. And My guess is that he kind of started to sequester himself in his older age because he's not going to live forever. But this is the self-proclaimed smartest man in the world, and I feel like, and with this kind of world that he is surrounded in, it feels like he's built it himself for the most part. Yeah. And we've already seen in the second episode that he was recreating on the stage the birth of the Superman, the birth of a god, basically. Yeah. My guess is that he's self-sequestered himself, or maybe sequester means that you do that to yourself. I don't have the definition on hand. But anyways, he has locked himself away, which is, you kind of get that vibe from the beginning. Yeah. Now the Games Warden kind of changes how we feel about that also with the letter. But the letter and his interaction with him is so gentlemanly. My guess is that he has hired this person.
Or it's one of his clones that he's
one created. Of his clones. But, sorry, I mean, he employed in the term of he may have created someone, now they have to work for him. And that as his life comes to an end, maybe he's looking for how to become the thing that actually is, like, to become the actual Superman. He viewed himself as the Superman, the person who had the peak physical condition. Like he had the highest intelligence of any human being on the planet. And at the end of Watchmen, we see all of that be belittled with one line from Dr. Manhattan. It's like, yes, you are successful in this, and you might be right now, but you mean nothing to me. And that means you mean nothing to the expanse of the entire universe and beyond. So possibly, I could see that maybe he's trying to turn himself into what Dr. Manhattan was.
That's interesting. I think there's something there too, because I also kind of wondered. It's like, is this? He's just bored, and so he's created challenges for himself. Like he's created his own captor essentially, and while trying to transcend that. I do really like when the visual of Jeremy Irons meditating on the bench, which is a classic Ozymandias image, and you look at Jeremy Irons, and like, yeah, man, that's probably how Ozymandias would age. This guy's looking good. And then you get him in the costume, it's like, oh, that's just an old man in a costume. There's a great dichotomy there where you see how it's the beauty of casting Jeremy Irons in that role, like almost the regal nature of this character, and then like, oh, but you're old.
Yeah, and I like the game of it. Games Warden, literally in the game of like cops and robbers, basically, where you're also getting the flip of you're seeing Ozymandias riding on a white horse, and the Games Warden's on the black horse. Like you're seeing the same imagery from the first episode with the Bass Reeves film. And I did want to mention. Possibly the Games Warden is there so that Ozymandias is not, there's no technology. There's no way for him to really keep track of what's happening on the outside world. If he's making clones, like we're putting that theory out there, not that you haven't had it before, that there's a chance he could reach out to the world and see what's happening. But we see, thanks to Peteypedia and other sources, that he had a pretty big hand in how Redford shaped America and how the world shaped itself. Yeah. And so maybe he has now chosen to focus solely on what it means to be Dr. Manhattan and how to achieve that. Yeah, what if that's the only way to make Dr. Manhattan is above humanity in certain circumstances. Yeah. And that's what Ozymandias wanted to be. He wanted to be the Superman.
What if this is a big I think you might be onto something here. What if this is a big kind of like backwards way of self-flagellation of like he would not ever admit that he made a mistake and that he feels guilty. But he's orchestrated this entire situation where he's basically a captor because he does feel guilty and he doesn't know how to like process that.
And how about this? We've seen his castle pop up twice on Mars, and it immediately disintegrates. And then in the child's room, in Angela's adopted kid's room, where he builds it and he knocks it down and it's destroyed. I'm getting vibes that castle that Adrian Veidt's not going to be standing for much longer. Yeah. And it also could be a symbol of his illusion that he cast over the world when it came to the squid and what it meant for the future of our relations with Russia and how America operates and the 7th Cavalry. Like, I think we're going to see the collapse of that very soon, literally, and what it means for our entire global culture. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think they're signaling it pretty hard that you're going to see that collapse pretty soon.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about throughout the episode, Laurie is telling a joke in the God Box, and when she leaves, I don't know about you, I was like, and then Dr. Manhattan shows up, but instead the car drops from the sky, and so now I have literally no idea who's responsible for who's Will's friend. How is Will responsible for the stuff, capable of doing what he's doing? Because I believe him. where does the car coming from? Maybe this other company. Possibly. Maybe Damon Lindelof has said that Dan Dreberg will not show up in this, but also Damon Lindelof's a dirty liar. So maybe he's been out and about and doing stuff.
I think he's in prison. Yeah. And I think Laurie would know that more than anybody. Maybe he's being co-opted by someone and he's making gizmos and gadgets aplenty for them. Yeah. But when she's looking up into the sky, you see the orange glow of Mars. Yeah. And it could be a nod that like this could be a gift from Dr. Manhattan. This could be one of his machinations. We've seen him build just things before, so maybe he rebuilt this flying machine with a magnet that picks up the car. Could be that. I'm going to guess it has to do with the person who bought out Vight's company. Yeah. Most likely it's going to have to do with them. Maybe another party's going to be introduced in this show, and there'll be another layer of mystery of who they are. But I do want to talk about, just before we get to that, and also there's like a black shadow in the sky, so something's up there looking back at her, and whatever that could mean, super interesting. But also Angela's confrontation with Laurie. Yes. They talk about the Klan outfit is gone. And you're like, why would he have just a secret compartment? I like immediately that she mentions that, and he was like, you just don't seem like someone who would faint. Yeah. And I love that she's just on top of that, where it's like, when you think about it, it's like, it's not the best cover of someone if you became at all suspicious of you, which you should be. Yeah. Good girl. I hope we see Bubastis in this, by the way, or another version of Bubastis.
100%. I think maybe that's what they're saving the CG budget for, or the Blue Dong,
or the Blue Dong.
That's
expensive.
But yeah, I all of her exchanges in the way she immediately is able to like dismantle the people of this group with her words and ideas.
By the way, Pirate Jenny. I missed that name before, and that is a great name of a vigilante.
Yes, and also the actress is Vixen from Flash.
Very cool.
That same actress.
Oh, hi. No, don't grab that cable. That's the mic cable. But their confrontation, and I like that Angela isn't phased. She's clearly like shooken up a little bit. Yes. But there are some questions of like, where is the outfit? Angela took it. Just putting it out there. And in the next episode, we're going to see that she's going to show it to somebody, and they're going to have to dive into what that means, because it's a Klan outfit that also has a police's badge on it. So
cool.
Yeah, there's there's definitely a lot of complications. Last theory I'll throw out there: we heard that maybe Dr. Manhattan went to another universe at the end of Watchmen. Maybe these are clones from other not clones from other universes.
Yeah, maybe this is an alternate
doppelgangers, maybe from other realities. That's just the random BS theory I'll throw out there, and you guys can decipher it for yourselves. Gang, would you want to live in Vietnam, this one that exists? Overall, this world's pretty bad, so there's probably not a great place to live. But gang, let us know what you thought of episode 3. Any final thoughts?
No, really good. I'm very interested to see. I enjoyed this episode more than episode 2. This is easily like
Laurie is
amazing. It's a knockout, and there's just an incredible amount of forward momentum on this episode. So I would easily give it a 9.5. Just a solid, great episode. What would you give it?
A 9.5 as well, honestly. And also kind of diving into that she still hunts down these vigilantes, and I kind of want to know what their motivations are. Not all of them. I don't need a whole origin story for each of them. But at this point, like, vigilante's a bad word. Like, that we celebrate the classics, but no one should be a vigilante anymore. Cops wear the masks in Tulsa, and even the whole country is like kind of iffy on that. Also, I highly recommend checking out the Watchmen podcast, because they do a really good job diving into what Red Predations are, like who received them. No, I actually like this.
Okay.
This is Winona, and if you would like to give some love to her in the chat, please do. Please like, comment, subscribe, check out Super TV Showdown on patreon.com/onlystupid-answers. That's Thursdays, 3 p.m. We talk about all the CW superhero shows, and also kind of dive into any theories that we have on Watchmen and other superhero shows. That tickles. DJ, where can people find you?
DJ Talks Trash every place that matters. You can find this boy at Sam Basher, and you can find us at Only Stupid Answers.
Take out the vowels from stupid. We'll be back with more watch-alongs on Patreon, and also you can get these reviews early, but also make sure you're subscribed here for all of our reviews for the newest movies coming out. Until next time, gang, we'll see you then.
Bye-bye.